Okay, so look where I found our old friend Steve Quayle. Now, whenever someone's at the ground, the grassroots of a movement, it draws my alarms. I'm starting to think this guy was a reaction to Phil Schneider. That him and many others were brought in. Not Bill Cooper, but the Maxwell guy, Jordan Maxwell. He's of the same ilk, and I think even Quayle and him were friends. But I think it's very odd because when you really start to assess this guy, he's always selling his prepper stuff. It's always about business. It's always about selling. And again, I just hear overcompensation much, but he is very good at saying all the right things, at saying everything right. But you got to judge them by their fruit because they can have that silver tongue, and he does have it. And so here's the thing, too, about him. He gets this persona like he's the one that blew the door open with the Giants, but they were publishing the findings in newspapers in the 1800s. The cat was already out of the bag. So what does the government, what does Satan always want to do? He always wants to regain control of the narrative, okay? And they sure did it. I mean, I would think Quayle could have been involved with Sitchin too, because did you know that at those elitist meetings when Sitchin was there, like at the literal like ritual meetings where they did nasty stuff, Sitchin was hands off. No one was allowed to talk to him. No one was allowed to be mean to him. No one, because they're mean at those things. Like they're just nasty, wicked. It's literal little demons run. Anyways, I always found that strange. And then Michael Heiser, a language expert, says, and some people debate him, says that he doesn't think Sitchin took even a semester of Sumerian. So that's interesting. Anyways, and that's one man's opinion, but I value his opinion. He's a pretty sharp dude. Steve Quayle is a multi-talented personality engaged in multiple professions. Notice his Christianity isn't really coming through to them. He is widely known researcher, author, publisher, radio host, and also a photographer. Despite that, he is yet to have his own Wikipedia or biography page. That's starting to see what I'm saying. He's starting to sound a little aloof. Now, he is widely known researcher, author. Oh, wait. However, some of the online articles have covered his biography. He also has a unique website where we can find detailed biography. He has coherent the need for Americans to be aware. Now here's where I want to bioterrorism and weapons of mass destruction. Have we talked about how Galen Windsor debunked nuclear weapons basically? Those explosions that they showed you on, that was dynamite. So they calibrate the nuclear explosion in dynamite. 50,000 pounds is how big. So what happens if you detonate 50,000 pounds of dynamite? You get the same thing. That's what they did. The soldiers exposed it. But like I said, a reaction to the government, a reaction from the government. And these people, the reason I'm doing this, it's not great. Like, it's not my favorite thing to say this about Steve Quayle because I actually learned a lot from the guy, but they can't operate with impunity. They can't be above suspicion anymore. Guys like Tom Horn, they can't because they have this position where they really do get to control a lot more than people think. I don't trust the whole thing about Chris Putnam dying right after this secret is released that it must have been told, and Tom Horn is up on the Lucifer telescope. It's like, no, something's odd here. This ain't making sense. It's kind of like the whole look what I'm looking over here while my right hand is doing something. Like look up here with the distraction. It's a signal I'm making. And so linking all these things together. I've seen Gary Stearman of Prophecy Watchers literally give the Baphomet symbol as his show opens. And it just got me thinking. And the Holy Spirit starts to do this, but a lot of things he'll bring along slow. Like if I would have seen all this like day one, it would have been overwhelming. But he brings you along slow. Obviously, I couldn't take this stuff too lightly. And I'm not saying everything I said is right. I'm just saying they don't deserve to operate above suspicion. They don't deserve to not have their fruits tested. And that's what we're doing. So there's currently no details found regarding Quayle's wife and children. He seemed to be a married man, but hasn't disclosed his family members, and we cannot know how many children he has. That's pretty sketch, don't you think? For someone that's a Christian, do you hide who your children are? I find that to be very peculiar. Now, he might have said their names. Don't forget, this is the guy who's calling Alex Jones Bill Hicks. Bill. That's, again, like he's in on some ground root movement. And he's noted for that as being one of these people that wrote the books about the Giants. Maybe they were trying to control the narrative. Maybe it was part of their alien agenda. I don't know. I know they'd have to play it a lot tighter when they're talking about Christians, but just you read this. What's your impression? Tell me in the comments. I am getting very suspicious of this man. Very, very, very. And it's because of the lack of transparency.